What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GolfMagic channel and welcome back to another equipment review video. Now this is an equipment accessory, but it can still help your game a lot if you're not using a rangefinder, GPS or anything along those lines. Now before we get into the video, if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all our equipment reviews, tour news, challenges and much more. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year and we need all of your guys' help so we can hit that milestone. Now, I'm sure you're aware, but the Masters is in full flow right now. The week has been unbelievable so far, and it's only going to get better over the weekend. Now, one thing professionals can't use, but us amateurs can use in tournament play, is rangefinders, GPS, anything to get us distances to the hole. We've been sent a brand new rangefinder by ShotScope, and we've tested it out on Knole Park, and we'll give our thoughts in this video. Now, this is the ShotScope Pro L1, and it comes in at £199. So, in terms of price bracket, it's on the cheap side for rangefinders. Now, a little bit of background into ShotScope. They're well known for their GPS watches, so they have the V3 and the G3, which have amazing reviews, and they decided to go into the rangefinder market and produce a product that's still quite cheap and affordable for most golfers that still produces exceptional results. ShotScope were ever so kind to send GolfMagic this product, and it comes in a really nice box. So as you can see, it comes in a nice, quite minimalistic box. When you open it, it's got all the things that you need. So instructions and the little pack that you can put on your golf bag. It clips on really easily, which is a really nice touch. I'm pretty new to rangefinders, to be honest. I mainly use golf GPS watches or the little devices, nothing that actually you have to zoom in and click onto a certain target. So it was interesting to me to try this out for a full 18 holes at Knole Park Golf Club and just see how I got on. The features that come with the ShotScope Pro L1 are really top tier for something that comes in at the lower price bracket. So the ShotScope Pro L1 comes with a black and red dual optics, meaning that you can use it for different types of conditions, or whatever you can see best. As well as that, it has adaptive slope technology and target lock vibration, so you get the exact distance if you're going up some hills or down some hills, and then when you've locked onto that pin, it gets a vibration when you get onto it. You can change the distance from yards and meters, so wherever you're from, whatever you're more comfortable with. And it has a range of 875 yards, which says it's accurate to 0.1 yards. So I don't know why you'd ever want to use 875 yards, but that's pretty accurate. Now let's get on to Knole Park Golf Club and see how myself and Chris on the day got on. We used a ShotScope Pro L1, but we also used Chris's Bushnell rangefinder just to see the comparison between the two. The Bushnell obviously being a lot more expensive in comparison to the ShotScope Pro L1. So what were our initial thoughts on the driving range and first hole of getting this out of the bag? So again, I don't use rangefinders that much, but it was pretty light, very lightweight for a rangefinder. Now I don't know why this would be considered a problem, but I've seen some people saying that they want quite a bulky, heavy rangefinder so they don't get affected in any sort of windy conditions. I personally think it doesn't matter. You can hold anything either way. You're not going to get blown side to side. You just stand there. But it is very lightweight, under 300 grams. So if you're factoring that in for a purchase, you should probably think about that. It was extremely easy to set up and we were instantly able to gain access to whatever modes you wanted to on the first hole. We instantly noticed there are two main modes that you would use here. So the M1 mode, which is the scanning mode, and the M2 mode, which is a target pin lock on mode. I preferred the M1 mode where you're continuously scanning. It felt like with the M2 mode, it took a bit too long to try and lock onto that pin, but I'll get onto that in a little bit. Now, having not really used a rangefinder that much previously, I did find this incredibly easy to use. All you had to do is just point at whatever you wanted to go to and press that button to lock on, and then it would instantly go and you'd have whatever yardage you wanted to get. The added slope terrain feature as well was really helpful for playing a course like Knole Park in the southeast of England. I'm pretty prone to playing courses that have excess terrain, blind tee shots for instance, and just thinking this could be 180 yards, whereas I'm by the 150 yard marker. With the slope terrain tool, I was able to get an exact yardage when I locked in of what the distance is when you factor in that terrain. Now I'll jump over to the fourth hole at Knole Park, and I just hit a drive and I'll give you a bit of information as to what just happened. Alright, so I've just duck hooked my drive about 60 yards left on the fourth hole. And the problem with a rangefinder here is, if you can see behind me, I can't really see the pin. So what I'm gonna have to do is move about 5 to 10 yards away from my ball and get a distance from there and then kind of calculate it towards that. So that's the reason why with watches, I can just stand by the ball and get an exact distance for the middle of the pin. So yeah, as you can see, I do prefer for this instance that I had to kind of move 10 to 15 yards. It's my fault because I duck hooked it, but it was a bit of annoyance having to move and then factor in the yardage from there. I'm sure there are ways around it, but in this sense I could have gone to my ball, had a watch or whatever, and got my yardage. Now, one thing to negate that is I was up quite a steep hill, so I needed to get the actual slope feature in there, which is, again, it swings and roundabouts with the GPS features here, because I got more of a accurate yardage, I would say, even though I had to move 10 to 15 yards to get the actual reading of the pin, whereas with the watch I could have had it when I was actually by the ball, but it wouldn't have actually been that accurate. So it's up to you to decide what you would prefer here. So let's jump over to the 5th hole, where I just hit my tee shot on the par 3 up an extremely steep hill, and just give you a little bit of a rundown as to what my first impressions were over the first 5 or 6 holes. So guys, we're on the 5th hole here at Knole Park, so we're about a third of the way through our round with the ShotScope rangefinder. Initial thoughts, it's really easy to use. It's a lot smaller than we thought. So we've been using Chris's Bushnell as well, which is a lot bigger. So it depends on what you really prefer. I'm thinking with the rangefinder, it's not too important as to how big and how small it is, but I think a lot of people who are a bit more picky about what to use, it could matter. It's very light, which some people may not like because you want something a bit more bulky to hold. We're playing in about 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. I don't think that's that much of an issue, but some people might think they want something quite heavy to hold on to. But we'll hit our putts, we'll hit a few more holes, and we'll let you know how we're getting on. So as you can see, I'm saying pretty similar stuff on the course as I'm saying now. I don't particularly think that the rangefinder being light is a problem, but that's up to you to decide. Now, going through the round, these thoughts kind of continued. There wasn't really too much else to say. Apart from that, this rangefinder is just so simple to use for any sort of beginner or advanced person who wants to use some sort of GPS device. As I said, don't really use rangefinders that much, but after a few holes, I got the hang of it, and then it felt kind of like second nature, just taking it out of the box, going and trying to get the exact distance that I wanted. And what I liked is that I got the exact distance to every single pin. I know this is just a kind of rangefinder description, but when I was 100 yards out to the middle pin, I could then get the rangefinder and get the exact yardage, which would be, let's say, 96 yards. So for someone who really wants to hone in their wedge gapping and everything like that, it's much more beneficial to get a rangefinder than a GPS watch, let's say. Although you can't get any sort of map to get the hazards and everything, you can still range find and zoom in on a hazard you want to go to or actually don't want to go to. So that's not really a negative at all about the rangefinder. The only negative that I will say about this device is that it did take quite a long time, pretty consistently, to get the distances to the pin or to whatever you're measuring. Not long enough that I think that this device isn't worthwhile buying, but when comparing it to the Bushnell that we were trying, that was a lot quicker and got the exact yardage pretty quickly. It's not enough to put me off this device at all, and after a few rounds I'm sure it wouldn't be too much of a comparison between this and the Bushnell. It's just when comparing this to a premium product, the notable thing here was that it did take a long time to get that reading. Still, for a product that is £199, that has a replaceable battery that's water resistant, that measures up to 875 yards with a 0.1 yard accuracy, it seems like it ticks all the boxes for kind of a fraction of the price to other premium brands. It's definitely a rangefinder that I would recommend if you want to get your first rangefinder. I found it so easy to use, I'm sure you would too. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was a lot of fun testing the ShotScope Pro L1 rangefinder out at Knole Park Golf Club, and we also got 2 other GPS device reviews coming out in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for those. If you guys have already purchased the ShotScope Pro L1 rangefinder, let me know down in the comments how you're getting on with it. It seems like a really good device for only a fraction of the price for other premium brands. If you guys are new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below to keep up to date with all our equipment reviews, challenges, tour news, and much more going into 2021. I'll see you guys in the next video.